This whole video game thing is getting weirder and weirder. In particular, the Sony versus Microsoft versus the Activision deal. And now we have something that came up the other day that's very, I guess, controversial and really paints Sony, I think, in a bad light. And I think that it's about time that somebody kind of went out and talked about this, because I do feel like not enough people are talking about it. So I do want to get into that. First of all, I want to say that, I think that it's pertinent for Sony and Microsoft to kind of maybe take a step back and just realize that the gaming industry as a whole is bigger than either one of them. So when it comes to this whole Activision thing, I've always felt like Microsoft is doing it for the right reasons. You have Activision, one of the biggest companies in gaming, and Call of Duty obviously is huge, and they're kind of falling from grace. They're forcing all their teams to work on Call of Duty, and that's not even the worst part of it. I mean, all the harassment, all that bad working conditions really just make it a bad place to kind of work. And so when you have Microsoft go in there and make a deal like this, you think things can turn around, because at the very least Microsoft is well known as being a quality place that employees can work. Then you have Sony kind of making themselves look very hypocritical by saying, oh no, well, we should dictate the terms, and Call of Duty should always be on PlayStation, and Xbox should never get any content that could sway people to get it on Xbox, especially when Sony pays money to get PlayStation games content, like even Call of Duty. So it's a little weird, but let's go ahead and get into it. Hey everybody, I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Please take a second out to like the video. It helps it to be seen, and it helps the channel to grow. I'm looking to get 100 likes on each of the video, which would be pretty good. So what's interesting here, and I saw this, so the European Commission actually responded after Microsoft Activision comments from somebody on staff actually received backlash. So yeah, I can understand where the backlash comes from, because I'm thinking, aren't you guys supposed to be unbiased when it comes to this stuff? So the European Commission has clarified claims of perceived bias to the probe into Microsoft's Activision Blizzard deal following comments from a senior staff member on social media. Ricardo Cardoso, the deputy head of unit and outreach at the governing body, tweeted earlier this week that, quote-unquote, the commission is working to ensure that you will be able to play Call of Duty on other consoles, including my PlayStation. Now, the statement, while factually in line with the limit and the remit of the body, was met with criticism from some players over perceived Sony bias, especially following repeated assurance from Xbox claiming that Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation for the foreseeable future. Now the European Commission has clarified in a statement that Cardoso is not involved in the process whatsoever. And it's good that they did this, because it seems super suspect that that he would go out there and just like, my PlayStation, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that some of the PlayStation fans were like, well, how's that bias? Blah blah blah. If he went out and goes, who cares about Sony as long as I can play Call of Duty on my Xbox, I think the PlayStation fans would feel differently. So this is what they said. Mr. Cardoso works in the Direct General for the internal market and not in the Directorate General for competition. Mr. Cardoso is not involved in the assessment of this transaction. Furthermore, as indicated clearly, his tweets are personal capacity, which, when has that ever been a thing, right? Like, people get canceled on the internet every day and fired from their jobs despite their Twitter saying that it is a personal capacity or my thoughts only or whatever. On Saturday, Cardoso tweeted, to clarify, I'm not involved with the assessment of the merger and don't even work in the department dealing with mergers. As is clear from my profile, my comments are personal and not a commission position, whose decision will be taken on the basis of the facts and the law. In the replies of the original tweet, the use of the word my, quote-unquote, when referring to PlayStation seems to have irked fans the most. However, Cardoso was seemingly referring to the console he owns rather than an allegiance to the platform, which I disagree. I think he's very much has an allegiance to the platform. This whole thing with the UK and the EU seems to be because they favor PlayStation, in my opinion anyway. The European Commission has officially launched an in-depth probe of Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard. As expected, following its initial inquiries into the $68.7 billion deal, the European watchdog said that it opened a Phase 2 investigation due to competition concerns. The Commission is concerned that the proposed acquisition may reduce competition in the markets for the distribution of console and personal computers, video games for the PC operating systems as well. While the deal has been approved by different regulators so far, the UK's Competition and Markets Authority recently expanded its investigation to a second phase. It is in the process of inviting members of the public to share their views on the acquisition before giving a final decision by March 1st. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, is reportedly making its ruling on the deal this month. Microsoft's head of gaming, Phil Spencer, recently said he believes heavy scrutiny from regulators is fair and warranted, and that he remains confident the deal will be approved. Again, I think it's going to be approved for sure. I just think that, this is all kind of doing their due diligence and things like that. And I do think that, obviously Sony whining about this has kind of helped slow things down a little bit, but still, this thing should all be settled. Activision has said by June of next year it's going to be completely settled and everything should be, copacetic. So I do hope that that's something that we see before too long. And, listen, Microsoft needs to get in there. I would clean house. I think Kotek certainly out, rearrange some things, and get things kind of running in a much smoother kind of fashion. And that only makes sense, Microsoft trying to do the best that they can. I always thought it was dumb to kind of make it out to be that Call of Duty wouldn't be on PlayStation anyway. I think the whole key to a Call of Duty is, you get it on Game Pass day one in the future, and that's a huge win in and of itself, because, there's this large contingent of gamers who are, they're going to be able to play this game for basically what it counts to being free. And so I think people might choose Xbox over PlayStation in the future because of that. And I think that's going to be a huge deal going forward. It doesn't matter if it's exclusive, because people that are hardcore aligned to PlayStation aren't going to switch, and they're still going to buy the game on PlayStation. So, it makes a lot of sense to kind of keep doing what you're doing, just stay the course. Just like Minecraft, I think you need that game, that big yearly game or whatever, that continues to just do extremely well and do these amazing things. And I think that that's going to be the big thing going forward. We got to keep things kind of in perspective. I can't wait to see it. I think Microsoft is going to keep to their word, because guess what, they did the same thing with Minecraft, and I think that clearly shows where their mindset is at with Call of Duty. Now, that's not to say that some of the other games can't be exclusive or whatever, but I do think that when it comes to Call of Duty, which tends to be the big question here, is that, we're going to continue to see different things kind of change, and, Microsoft is going to continue to offer the game, and I think Microsoft should. And I think that Sony made themselves look bad and kind of the butt of the joke as well for long enough. But what do you guys think about this? How do you feel about this guy tweeting this? It does seem very suspect, and I do think that they needed to kind of clarify some things. But at the end of the day, hopefully everything turns out for the better. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap gamer 'em up. Thanks for letting me into your, viewing eyes and ears today. I appreciate it. Have a fantastic day. Crap gamer out.